Well, if you're not a fan of word problems, which most people aren't, I'm sure you'll be glad to have a little bit of a break from these. This is the last section in Chapter 3 that has word problems. So, they're word problems that involved inequalities. Now, I'm sure I did not put this in here. I'm sure the book has some list where you can. So, word problems we're translating from English into math language. And I don't have anything here that shows all of what the inequality signs would be if they were translated into English. I just do it kind of from the logic of what they must mean. But check the textbook if this isn't going to help you very much, like it's not making sense. But let me get started. Okay, so let me see if we can use what they've done here. Yeah, we can. So Emma's got this salary. She makes $5,625. Now, her apartment, in order to qualify for an apartment, she must be at least, so let's start translating here. So I've got her salary. Her monthly income is right there. Must be at least. So what would at least be in math language? It would be greater than or equal. So we're happy with it being that number or even more. So we'd have a greater than or equal. Remember, this reads left to right, so this is greater, this is less. So greater than or equal to 3 times is multiplication, the rent. So we get 3r. Okay, so now we've got the r kind of on the wrong side here, but we're going to divide both sides by 3, and we get down to this. Now, I like what they did. I like it to go the other way around. So I've just flipped everything the other way. They did. Flipped everything the other way around. So this reads, her rent must be less than or equal to $1,755. Okay, let's try this again here. So I've got a bunch of pallets. They weigh 45 pounds each. Okay, now they want to know how many boxes. So we got a bunch. Every one of them is 45 times some number of boxes that we don't know. Now the pallet can safely support no more than 900 pounds. No more than. Okay, that would mean we got to be less than or equal to 900 pounds. So no more than 900. We can go up to it, but we can't exceed it. So that would be this. Now we're going to divide both sides by 45. And we would get sorry, I get that there. We get 20. Okay, so he could safely lift no more than 20 boxes on a pallet. Okay, so we've got, let's say the average person weighs 150 pounds. Now, how many of them are they? So we don't know how many people can ride in this elevator. Isn't that 150 per person? So we have this rate would be the total weight of the people in the elevator. Now, the elevator has a max weight of 2,100. So we can go up to 2,100. It's allowed, but we can't go any farther than that. So to solve an inequality, it works the same. We saw this earlier. It's the same as an equal sign. The only thing we have to worry about is if we divide or multiply by a negative. Okay, so we can have a maximum of 14 people. Okay, so let me see if I can use theirs. Yeah. So it's $254.12 per laptop. Yeah, per tablet. So this is the total cost of the tablets, and we have to keep them at the maximum. Yeah, we got to stay under or go up to $4,000. So the best we can do is 4,000. We can't go over it, but we can go to it. So we divide each side by 254. Now, an interesting thing happens here. We say n has to be less than or equal to 15.74, but tablets have to be whole. So we can't go up. We can't round up to 16. That would be more than she can afford. So we just naturally have to round down to 15. So n is less than or equal to 15 tablets. Does that make sense? We can't go up to 16 because 16 is more than she's allowed to have. So we're going to just have to round down because it has to be a whole tablet. You can't have part of a tablet. Okay, so we've got $2.63 per juice box here. So we can't go over $20. That's the max that she has. We can go up to it, but we can't go over it. So we're going to divide each one by 2.63. And let's see if we have to do that trick like we did on the last one. Yeah, we do. So when I divide this, I get 7.6. Well, you can't have part of a juice box, and you can't go up, because if you round up, that's more than we're allowed to have. So we're going to round it down to 7. So we can have whole juice boxes. Okay, similar here. I think we'll run in the same idea. We've got $42.75 per person. And the max for it is you got to be less than $500. Okay, or you can be up to 500. So now we're going to divide. So let's see what we get. I bet we need, yeah, so I get 11.69. Now I can't go up. That would be too many. So we got to round down. The max we're allowed would be 11. Okay. Yeah, this one's a little weird. I remember this. So at the store, he either makes $500, so he's get a flat salary of $500 plus commission. Yeah, this is a weird one. I don't really like this question very much. So he makes $500 plus a commission of 12%, where S is his sales. Does that make sense? 500 plus 12% on how much he sells. Or they can just pay him $925. So if he sells more, he can go over $925. So what we're trying to do is, when would he go over? How much would he have to sell in order to do better than the flat salary? And do better would be greater than. So we just doing we're sending 500 to the other side, dividing both sides by 0.12. And so here's our sales, 3,541. Yeah, dollars and 66 cents in sales. So I don't like the way this is worded. Let's do this one, because that or thing is really strange. So on this one, we've got $200,000 or $20,000 plus 2%. We're going to call sales X. So this one I think is a more traditional way you'll see it. She wants to earn at least $100,000. So she'd be happy with $100,000 or greater than that. She'd like to go over it. So this is my inequality. I'm going to leave the factor puzzle toward last, so I'm getting rid of the 20,000. So I've got 0.02x is greater than or equal to 80,000. Divide by both sides by 0.02. Oops, sorry. So in sales, she'd have to sell a lot. Yikes. $4 million? Okay. All right, so pause this if you want to try it on your own. Okay, that's the base salary plus 3% of his sales. He wants it to pay more than, now it's not at least, it's more than, so he wants to make more than 60,000, so I think it should just be greater than. Okay, so now we're going to greater than 36,000, divide both sides by 0.03. Okay, these I don't know what they're selling, but you got to sell a whole lot. So you got to sell 1.2 million in order to for him to make more money than that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's see. Can I use theirs? So it costs $75 plus 25 cents per mile. So there's a flat fee to rent this car, yeah, and then 25 cents for every mile that they drive. So they need to keep it under $200, so they can go up to that, but no more than. And then how many miles can they drive? So we're going to subtract 75 from both sides, which is what we did here. Divide both sides by 0.25, and then they can drive no more than 500 miles. Okay, we have something similar here. So 2880 is the charge plus 20 cents per text. Her bill can be no more than. It can be 50, but no more than. So now, okay, divide both sides there, and I get 106. All right, so no, she can do no more than 106 text messages. All right, a similar one if you want to try this. $5.42 per month plus $1.08 per therm. I don't know what it is. Okay, his bill cannot go over 87.50. So I don't know what a therm is, but there we go. Okay, so minus 542. So I've got 8208. Divide both sides by 108. And I get x is less than or equal to 76 therms. I'm going to write that on there just because that sounds like fun. Okay, less than or equal to 76 therms. Okay, I think this is our last type of problem. Let's see if we can do, yeah. So this guy is making $60 every time he does a landscaping job. So this would be the total amount of money he makes, 60 times every job. But he's got bills to pay too, so this isn't all profit. So we've got to subtract away the money that his bills are. So we have 60J minus his bills, and we're looking for a profit to be at least $4,000, so greater than or equal to 4,000. Okay, now we're solving in the normal way. And if he wants to make at least 4,000, he's got to do 85 jobs or more. Okay, so similar thing here, $32 per hour. And then we've got some expenses too. How much in order to earn at least $800? So that would include 800 to be greater than or equal to. So we can get 800 or more. So we're going to send 2272 to the other side. Divide both sides by 32. And I've got x greater than or equal to 96. Yeah, 96, this is hours. Okay, $2.50 per invitation. We're going to subtract away the monthly expenses, and we want to make a profit of at least, you can make it more, but at least 2,800. So adding 650 to both sides. divide both sides by 2.5. So we've got 3450. And I've got x is greater than or equal to 1380. Yeah, this is the number of invitations. Oh, okay, yeah, there's two more slides. This one last kind of problem. They're going to tell us that there's a lot of things to pay for. She's got to pay for airfare, food, and $60 a night, but she's there for 3 nights, so she's going on a vacation. So let's show you what we got. So here's the total expenses. And she had $500 in savings. Yeah, I think they should have written this the other way around. So we want her savings to be greater than or equal to her expenses, and she makes $15 an hour at her job. So I would have preferred this written like this way with all the expenses over here, so that we need to make more than her expenses. But it's the same the other way as long as you're careful. So we solve this down and we get to here. Now they wrote it the way I like it, where they reversed everything, and she's got to work at least 27 hours. So let's do this again. She's got $840 in her savings. She makes $45, or Malik, is this a guy this time? $45 an hour tutoring. Now, he's got to have at least $525 for all these expenses. He's got to cover that expense. He's got to cover that expense, and $95 a night for 6 nights. So this is our total expenses. We want our income to exceed those expenses. So let's tidy it up. So I'm doing these all at once, but 95 times 6 is 570, plus 520, plus 780. So just this is multiplication here. So I multiplied this and added everything up, and I get 1870. Okay, now let's just solve, just like we always would. We want the factor puzzle to be last, so we're getting rid of the 840. Divide both sides by 45. I've got 1030 divided by 45. So x is 22.88 hours. I guess you could leave it as 22.88. If it's meant to be whole numbers here, going down would not be sufficient, so we'd go up to 23 hours. So if you think through this, how many hours does he have to work to pay for the trip? Well, if he's allowed to do part of an hour, that's okay. But if not, we can't go down to 22 because that would not be enough to pay for the trip. But we could go up to 23 hours. Okay, so inequality word problems there. I hope that makes some sense. Again, if they're not, I just think through the logic of what they're telling me, but if not, I'm sure the book has a table that lists all of them in English, what you should be looking for the different inequality signs.